What is going on YouTube? Smashing Pumpkin here, coming at you guys with another PGN. For today, we are going to be seeing a Constellar mirror match, and he just starts off with Sheraton, looks his deck, gets cost to his hand, which I don't really like that play too much because you have Tenki to look for cost, but I guess that was just the combo piece he was missing at the time. So I go Algieti, and it gets Fiendish Chained, so then I go in for a double summon, which I really like in this version, and I attack in, and he has Honest, so it kind of dies, but it's better than just going Politis and then getting that blown up, because now I have at least a little bit of field presence. So in comes Honest, I take 700 to the face, and then end my turn. And he has Pollux and Cost, obviously, and he decides that he's not going to exceed and just attacks in with Pollux, which I decide to Honest to break up the play that he wanted to do, which would probably be go into Politis and then just kind of win that way. And instead he goes into Omega, which is a lot easier to deal with, in my opinion. And he just ends his turn. I decide to activate another Tenki, but then he gets the MST, so that kind of sucks. And then I just decide to shift into defense and end. He goes Tenki and then looks for the cost. And he goes in cost and attacks, and then attacks over for 24, and then that likes my Sombre live. And then my MST to kill the back row is so huge, because that means that my play is going to go off and I just am able to get rid of everything that he's set up on the field with a Politis on board, which is basically like the strongest position you can have in the entire deck. And he draws, and I believe he just sets some back row, and I end up attacking in, takes it, and I set the MST. He goes Sheraton and looks for the Sombre, so that he'll have some play, but I decide to go in with everything I have and just go all in. And he ends up not having the Mirror Force, which is good, but he does have the Book of Moon. I decide to bounce back cost to my hand, just in case like he's able to get around my bottomless. MST, it only hits a 10 key, which I guess was dead, but whatever. So I flip some of the Politis and then just attack in for game, but he has Fiendish. But then I just make M7 Sheraton into Sombre, and he doesn't top deck the Sombre, so I end up winning. And then that's really good. So siding happens, and then going into game 2, he opens up with Pollux and then goes in for the Politis naturally, and then I go summon Sheraton and search for Pollux. So I just kind of go ahead and set everything. I choose not to activate the 10 key just because I don't really want to oversaturate my hand with searches. And he ends up just attacking over my Sheraton and ends his turn, and then Mind Crushes to hit the Pollux out of my hand. But fortunately I draw the Algieti, which was like the only thing I could have top decked that would really help me out other than like a Sheraton or something. And he ends up trying to bounce my cost back to my hand, and I opt to Fiendish Chain, targeting the Politis, and then I just go ahead and make my own Politis and then use its effect to bounce the Fiendish Chain. Maybe should have bounced the Politis there, but I wasn't entirely thinking too straight. And I just thought I could just crash my safe zone into the Politis and then it would just work out well that way. But little to my knowledge, he has safe zone set as well, so that kind of sucks. And then I just reset the Fiendish Chain, obviously, and then end my turn. And he goes to bounce my safe zone, I go and bounce his safe zone, and just because I don't really want him to make a M7 and then just start winning that way. So he goes Algieti and special summons Sombre, and Sombre returns cost to his hand. And I just really don't want him to get that Omega onto the field, so I Blackhorn, and he sets him up another card to his back row. And I just opt to summon cost and then just swing in there for everything I can, and then I just set all my back row again. And he opts to go in for a really kind of weird play. He has another Algieti and special summons a cost, I believe, and then goes into Precepe, which is a card that I don't really play because I feel like it isn't that strong. It's only really that great against Bujin because its attack just goes like too high for like Crane sometimes. And yeah, I don't play it, but he decides to attack. I safe zone just so my monster can stay alive. And he goes Sheraton here, and I have to Fiendish Chain, and then he goes in for his M7. And right here I top deck the Sheraton, which is so killer, because this is the reason why I play double summon in the deck, is because the stuff that you can do with Sheraton and Sombre with double summon is unreal. Like, just watch this play, because I get back my Sheraton's effect again, because it's another normal summon, gets another Sombre for next turn, overlay into Leviair, and then get back the thing I banished for Sombre. I'm just like, the combos in this deck are ridiculous. But I think for a while, and I'm trying to think of a way that I can salvage my Fiendish Chain, but the M7 is just too much of a threat, and I have to get rid of it immediately. So I end up detaching for, what is its name? Politis, and then just attacking with everything else. And he gets, I believe that he had Dark Hole already in his hand. He might have ripped it. No, it was already in his hand. So I just bounce the 10 key to my hand, and my cost survives, obviously. So I go 10 key, search for another cost, and then summon cost, and then attack with everything into his monster, which just ends up being honest, which isn't that frightening. And he has such low life that I just decide to go in for Cowboy, and he has the Fiendish Chain, and I set the Dust, and his top deck was cost, so there's not a whole bunch you can do. He really should have tried to get rid of the Cowboy, but I guess it just doesn't cross his mind. And he returns Honest to the hand, and then ends his turn. And I just MST the back row, forgetting that it was safe send from earlier, so that kind of sucks. But then I just go in for Volcasaurus with Sombre, and that's kind of the game. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is Smashing Pumpkin signing out. Peace.